Hello grade 4 students and welcome to a new lesson. Today's lesson is from Module 3, Let's Talk. As for the objectives of the lesson, by the end of the lesson, you will be able to talk about camping rules. Also, you will be able to ask and answer about what one has to or doesn't have to do. Make sure you open your student's book page 36, workbook page 35. And now, let's start with the new vocabulary. We are going to learn their meanings and their use in sentences. Look at the picture and tell me, what do you see? There are trees. It's a space that is outdoors. And it seems people sleep there. We call this campsite. Campsite. Now read the example with me. The campsite view is amazing. And the word campsite is a noun. Now look at the next picture. What do you see? A boy crossing the road. Now whoever crosses the road needs to what? Be careful. Be careful. Read the example with me. Be careful while crossing the road. And be careful is a phrase. In this picture, we see that there was a fire. And there's a person putting water on the fire. Now, what do we call this? Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Now read the example with me. Firefighters put out the fire. And put out the fire is a phrase. Now, in the next picture, we see a boy carrying food. Can you guess? And give me a word that matches the picture. Bring food. Bring food. Now read the example with me. You have to bring food with you to school. And bring food is a phrase. In the picture, we see that this is a campsite. And there is a small building. People buy things from this building. So this is a campsite shop. Campsite shop. Read the example with me. There is a campsite shop in the camp. Excellent. And the word campsite shop is a noun. Now, in this picture, we see a place that people sleep in, but not at home. They sleep in it outdoors, in nature. What do we call this? It's a tent. Tent. Read the example with me. You will sleep in a tent in the camp. And tent is a noun. It's time now to listen, follow, and repeat.
Campsite. Be careful. Put out the fire. Bring food. Campsite shop. Tent.
Please open your workbook page 35, Activity 1. Activity 1. Read and complete. We are going to read the phrases or the words in the blue box, and then we are going to use them in sentences correctly. But first, let's read them together. Campsite shop. Be careful. Campsite. Put out the fire. Bring food. Tent. Sentence number 1. Read along. Please pick up the rubbish when you leave the... What do you think? when you leave the campsite. Excellent. Number 2. Can I space to the museum? What do you think? Can I bring food to the museum? Super. Now pause the video and complete. Let's continue. Number 3. Is there a space at Greek Lake campsite? Is there a campsite shop at Greek Lake campsite? Super. Number 4. I want to go camping, but I haven't got a tent. Number 5. We have to put out the fire before we leave the campsite. Number 6. Be careful when you go sailing. Super. Please open your student book page 36, Activity 2. Activity 2. Work in groups of 3. Play a guessing game. Now, we are not going to play a guessing game. Follow with me, please. What do you notice from the text? There are 3 campsite places. Let's read the names. Desert Park Campsite, Lake Park Campsite, and Forest Park Campsite. Under each name of campsite, there are rules. Rules for this place. But first, it's time to pause the video and read the rules of each campsite. Let's ask Ahmed some questions about Desert Park Campsite. Now read the question with me. Do you have to bring your own food? Look at the arrow. Can you answer? Help Ahmed. Is it a yes or no? The sentence says you have to bring your own food. So Ahmed's answer would be, yes, I do. Now let's move on to the next question and read it with me. Do you have to bring your own tent? Again, look at the arrow. Read the sentence with me. It says, you have to bring your own tent. So what do you think Ahmed's answer would be? He would say, yes, I do. Forming questions with short answers using have to. Do you remember Miss Huda's question? Read it with me. Do you have to bring your own food? I will show you another example. Read along. Do they have to clean the house? How to form a question. What do I start with? We start with do. And then we use you, they, we, or I. After that, we use have to. And then we use the verb in the infinitive form, the base form. And we end with a question mark. Great. Now how to answer. We either answer with the affirmative. And we say, yes, they do. Great. Or we answer with the negative. And we say, no, they don't. Let's continue forming questions with short answers. Look at the example and read the question with me. Does he have to make his bed? Can you help me give the rule? We start with does, and then we use he, she, or it. Or I can use a name of a person and one person only. And then I use have to. Excellent. And I use the verb in the infinitive form, and I end with a question mark. To answer this question, I either answer with the affirmative, and I say, yes, he does, or I answer with the negative, and we answer, no, he doesn't. And we use this type of questions to ask about rules. Let's have some practice with Noor and Ahmed. Now Noor will ask Ahmed some questions, and she will ask him about Forest Park campsite. Read with me the question. Do you have to put out the fire you make? Look at the answer. It's mentioned you have to put out the fire you make. So Ahmed would answer, yes, I do. Again, the place is Forest Park campsite. Read the question with me. Do you have to bring your own food? The answer is here. Ahmed would answer, no, I don't. Let's continue about the same place, Forest Park campsite. Do you have to bring your own tent? The answer is here. So Ahmed would answer, yes, I do. It's time for Miss Huda to ask about Ahmed and Noor. She will ask about Desert Park campsite. Read the question. Does he have to pay 60 Qatari riyals a day? The answer is here. What do you think? Yes, he does. Now her question is about Forest Park campsite. Read it. Does he have to pay 60 Qatari riyals a day? The answer is here. What would you answer? No, he doesn't. It's time to ask about Noor and about Lake Park campsite. Does she have to bring her own tent? The answer is here. What would you say? No, she doesn't. Now the question is about both Noor and Ahmed and about Lake Park campsite. Do they have to bring their own food? Look at the answer. What would you say? No, they don't. Let's continue about both Noor and Ahmed and about Lake Park campsite. Do they have to put out the fire? The answer is here. What would you say? Yes, they do. Now open your workbook page 35, activity 3. We are going to help Ahmed. Activity 3. Answer the questions about yourself. Now we are going to help Ahmed answer these questions about himself. Let's refer to the table. In the table, it's mentioned things Ahmed has to do. Now the X means he doesn't have to do it, and the tick means he has to do it. Let's start with the questions. Number 1. Do you have to walk to school in the morning? Look at the answer. There's an X. So he would say, no, I don't. Number 2. Do you have to make your bed? The answer is here and there's a tick. So he would say, yes, I do. Number 3. Do you have to do homework every day? There's a tick. So he would say, yes, I do. Number 4. Do you have to clear the table after dinner? The answer is here. And there's an X. So he would say, no, I don't. And now it's your turn to do activity 3, workbook page 35, and you will answer the questions about yourself. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.